Day number 5 of training camp is now in the books, and here are my takeaways. Let's get right into the video. Alright everybody, I got a lot of information for day 5, so we gotta kind of speed things up. We don't want to make this video way too long because I got a lot of information like I just said. But the first thing that sticks out to everybody before we get into, the regular stuff, Jelani Tavai picked off Matthew Stafford, and I think everybody probably at this point already knew this before I made this video, but if you didn't, now you know. Jelani Tavai picked off Matthew Stafford. Now I don't want to talk about it too much because I actually have a video clip from the Detroit Lions, so I will throw that up right now. And that is Jelani Tavai picking off Matthew Stafford in the red zone. So a really nice play there. And some people were worried like, oh, that's not good for Matthew Stafford. But the thing is, he's been balling throughout training camp. Until then, he throws an interception. It happens. But it's good look for Tavai being a rookie. Now, he started that linebacker position. He's had a lot of weight on his shoulders being a second-round pick. Came up with a big play here, so it's really good for him to really make a big splash play. You can see it was like a slant kind of pattern that he just jumped, tipped it to himself, picked it off. But that's the biggest news of the day, so I just wanted to start off with that. But now let's get into the participation list.
Participation trophy, yeah!
Because there are some players that participated and a lot of guys that didn't. Now we had a lot of changes also. I will get into that throughout the video. But with that being said, we know our defense is kind of banged up. So let's get into who didn't participate. So these guys were not participating today. Deshaun Hand, who actually came out in an arm brace. And Jonathan Wynn, our defensive end, was also not participating. Devon Kennard, one of our linebackers. Austin Bryant, as usual. Christian Jones, and Malik Carney. So you guys can see linebackers and defensive line, they've been pretty banged up, not participating very much. Not really a big deal, right? Still training camp. We did bring in some other guys. Like I said today, we actually brought in... Today we brought in Frederick Jones, so I'll get into it a little bit in a minute, but I actually made a video on that, so if you guys want to check it out, you definitely can. Now, not only did we see guys not participate, but we saw some changes. One change that we saw is Ashawn returned, okay, and he was actually gone for an excused absence, but he returned, so that's good. Now, he did have some limited kind of participation. Mike Daniels actually had his first practice, but he wasn't in any kind of team drill, so I thought I would throw that out there. John Atkins actually started at that nose tackle position, so the defensive tackle, right, because Snacks is on the NFI list with Darius Slay for missing, they missed a minicamp, right, so now they're trying to catch themselves up. So with that being said, John Atkins actually started at nose tackle today, which is really nice for John Atkins. That's a good sign for him for at least trying to make the team purposes. We also saw little participation from Romeo Okwara, very little participation, which it looked like he was going to be good, right? He came out, he was dressed, and it looked like everything was going to be good, and we saw very, very little participation, so that's very unfortunate. Marcus Cooper actually had a full practice with the Detroit Lions, and like I said, we signed Frederick Jones today. I can't say Frederick. I don't say it very well, but he's from Florida State. We signed him, and we also released Brandon Riley from the team, so we're back at the 90 roster kind of limit. Now, here are my takeaways from day number 5, okay? So now we know who participated. Now, here are my takeaways, okay? This is where things get interesting. One thing that we learned is Jermaine Kearse, well, we already kind of knew this, but he has been looking very, very comfortable in this offense. And, well, usually the reason is because he's used to this offense, right? He was with Darrell Bevell for 5 years. Now, Darrell Bevell was at Seattle when Jermaine Kearse was. Jermaine Kearse was also with the Jets, but when he was at Seattle, he was working with Darrell Bevell. And as we know, he won a Super Bowl there. That's really where he started his career off. In 2017, he had a career year with 810 receiving yards. I thought I would just throw that in there. He's not washed up. He's still been doing this. 2 years ago was his best year. With that being said, he was with Seattle. He's used to Darrell Bevell and how he likes to run things. He's probably the most familiar with this offense out of anybody on the offensive side of the ball, so I would like to put that in there. And to start practice, the Detroit Lions actually did some head-to-head drills. Because, like one person against another person from certain positional groups. So it was like running backs versus linebackers, defensive backs versus wide receivers, okay? So, that's kind of what they were doing to start practice. Now, Kerryon Johnson didn't have a great day. And this doesn't surprise me, right? Like, Kerryon Johnson's not one of those guys that you would think is going to hit somebody really hard. He's Kerryon. Kerryon's a little elusive. Like, he can run over a tackler, but he's not like a C.J. Anderson type of guy who actually did the best throughout the drill for the running backs. Kerryon didn't do so hot, but here's the guys that he lost to. Tracy Walker, Jelani Tavai, Will Harris. Will Harris is a huge hitter out of Boston College, so that's not surprising. Jelani Tavai is a big dude out of Hawaii. That's not surprising. And then we have Tracy Walker, who's also kind of maybe a little bit surprising, but still not too surprising. I'm saying surprising a lot. I'm not sure why. So that's the second thing I'd like to throw to you guys. Next up, we have Kenny Galladay. And throughout training camp, he has looked really, really good. So has Marvin Jones. Let me throw that in there as well. He's really trying to get some redemption from that injury-filled season last year. But Kenny Galladay has looked really, really good. He was going against Tease Tabor today in some head-to-head drills. They were actually going at it. Like, they were competing really well. This was not like a one-sided performance. This wasn't Kenny Galladay owning him. This wasn't Tease Tabor owning Kenny Galladay, obviously. It was pretty much even, right? T. Staver made some really good plays knocking the ball away. Kenny Galladay also made some really good plays against him. So I thought I would throw that in there as well, that they had pretty nice battles. Next up, we have kind of a team thing defensively, and I love to see this out of Matt Patricia. He actually called together the whole defensive unit because they were struggling. He was getting upset. So, he said, you know what, come over to my ATV so I can yell at y'all. And basically, he said, I don't know what he said because I don't have that information, but he was upset. He was upset with the team, and to make matters worse, when they went back out there, Lowen jumped offside. So, not a really fun or pleasant time for the defense, I assume. Probably not a lot of good words were exchanged between Matt Patricia and the players. So, let's not really get into what they probably said. Let's not even try to predict that. Either way, we probably know it wasn't a good thing. Next up, David Fowles actually played second string quarterback over Tom Savage. Now, this may not mean anything. This happens a lot when you try guys at different positions because you just do it. I would still say Thomas Savage is going to be our backup, but I thought I would throw that in there because who knows? I mean, things happen. But David Fowles actually was playing ahead of Tom Savage today with that second unit, so I thought I would give you guys that information. And finally, my final news of day 5 is that Bo and Ryan Pope have struggled. Right? Not a great way to end the day. Not a great way for me to end this segment is by saying that Bo and Ryan Pope have struggled. But it's the truth. Now, we can end this with some highlight news. You know what? This is how we're going to end this. To end this on a good, happy note, I'm going to show you the clip about Jelani Tavai making the interception again. Roll that clip. Okay, so those are my takeaways from day 5 of training camp. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure you click the link in the description. Go check out my podcast with Detroit Lions Squad. Okay, the link is in the description, like in the middle of the description. You'll just have to scroll down a little bit. Detroit Lions Squad on Instagram. You can probably know him from there. The thing it'll be a weekly podcast that will keep you guys up to date on some information. So if you want to hear me some more, I don't know why you would want to hear me more, but if you guys do, or if you want to hear from Detroit Lions Squad, then you got to click the link in the description because otherwise, I don't know what you're doing. Like, honestly, I don't know what you're doing. Anyways, thank you for watching, and I'm out.